I wanted us to have a conversation about a very sensitive but yet important topic, right? And I want us to speak about, so there's a lady who recently passed away at EY. So 4 months after graduating and becoming a chartered accountant, they pass away due to like toxic work culture and the work pressure. And that got me thinking, because I feel like a couple of weeks ago, I think it was 3 weeks ago, I posted a video about how I'm ending my chartered accountancy journey after my honors, because I feel like it's not something that I'm driven to do, right? I don't see meaning in it anymore. And I got mixed reactions from people saying, you should get the credentials, it's going to give you more credibility, finish what you started, all those kind of things, right? And for me, it got me thinking, because so what happens most of the times is people will give you this advice, but they never sit back and assess whether it's something that's good for you or not. You get what I'm saying? Because for me, it's like, most of the times when I hear people complaining about the work pressure, the toxic work culture and whatever it is, and let's talk about like the pressure from work, specifically saying the work is too much. It's if you're doing something that you don't love, right? And I always say there's this part that, I don't know, they've created a nice system where they say, if you don't become this after university, then that's an automatic failure. I may say it, right?
There's a standard that's it.
Especially if you're studying accounting, it's like if you don't become a chartered accountant, then you're a flop accounting. You wasted 4 years of studying accounting, right? That's why most of the times if you go the SEMA route, right? Management accounting route or whatever it is, people will be like, you're an automatic failure because the highest standard, the highest rank is being a chartered accountant. But now, where do we draw the line? Because we're getting people who get to be accountants, but they have to bear with this pressure. And I feel like most of the time it's like you doing this job, but you're like, my heart is not here.
I think we also talked about it off air on how one of my fears is that you do something and you end up dying without you fulfilling your purpose. And in you speaking with that, I remember there was someone who recently graduated, like he spent like 7 years doing medicine, and after that you pass away. One of the factors that leads us into following things outside our passion, it's because of the societal and family factors that play in our lives. Like, for example, if Blessing is a CA, hey, things are going to change. We're going to have a fresh life. And like you're saying, we end up being trapped in things that are not beneficial to us. And we end up falling for a culture that is unhealthy for us.
Yeah, true. And it's what I think Paul refers to as the default path on the pathless path, right? And I feel like it's something that has been structured so nicely that they're saying this is like the route to success. This is he refers to it as the prestige kind of life, right? If you don't get a corporate job after your degree, then you're not successful in life, which is what happens most of the times. And I've realized that basically university is a scam, right? University is a scam. And I know people are going to go against me like, yeah, you studied, now you have degrees. And
what do you mean?
You say university is a scam. I'm saying university is a scam because they sell you a dream and then you realize at the end that that dream is not worth the kind of like pain and whatever that you go through, right? And I feel like the reason why I'm saying university is a scam is because what they teach us is you must go to university so you can get a good paying job. That's what they teach us, right? And we usually miss the point that university is not about getting a job at the end of the day. University is about learning a critical skill, right? And I've had a conversation with people, they'll be like, if you say university is a scam, what do you mean, right? Because most people come from this thing that if you study the less useful degrees, for example, if you study psychology, then you study the less useful degree. And for me, it's always like, we're missing the point. University is about education. And for me, I definitely crave people to study psychology because I believe that psychology teaches you a very important skill. right? How to structure your thoughts, how to tell a story, how to communicate clearly, how to do all those kind of things, which are important skills. But we miss the point because what? They sold us this idea that university, the whole point of university is to get a degree, and after getting a degree, you get a good paying job. And if you realize that job is not worth it, right? The job is not worth it. And I'm something I've been thinking about lately, something I've been thinking about, which is on my mind, is like, I feel like education or the university system is something that they brought to the low income end so that they can make sure that they stay poor in a way, right? They used it as a tool. It was a good tool, but the way they sold it to us, they made sure that we stay poor because of that entire system. Because think about it, I was thinking about this thing.
Okay.
If you come from like the low income end, right?
Yeah.
You come from like the township, right? You go and study, let's say for example, you study accounting, do 3 years or 4 years if you're doing accounting and finance, and you do postgraduate. And then after that, your starting salary is like how much? 16K. Let's say 16K, right?
Yeah.
And
that's your net.
That's your net.
Yeah.
And where do you work? In the city,
In the cities,
right?
yeah.
You have to stay in the city. So what's your first thought? I have to get an apartment. How much is an apartment? Let's say on average, you pay like 10,000 for the apartment. On
In
average.
Cape Town.
If you're in Cape Town, if you're in Joburg, maybe 8K.
6,
right?
yeah.
Hey, 6.
Yeah.
I've never seen it 6K.
In Midrand, there's the startup price for a bachelor apartment is from
6K.
6.
But I feel like you have to consider, okay, cool. If it's 6K, how far is it from the office in which you're working in, right?
Yeah, valid.
Because sometimes you can pay 6K for an apartment, but it's so far from where you're working, whereby you need to spend an additional 2K or an
on
additional
transport,
3K traveling to get to the office, right? But let's say on average you spend 9K, right? On average you spend 9K so that you can get an apartment, which is not far from where you work. Or let's say if you far from where you work, you spend 7K on apartment and 2K on
transport,
which is 9K. So from that 16K, you already have 7K left, right? And I kid you not, most of the times people who go the default path and say we want to be chartered accountants or want to go the corporate route, you have to look the part, right? That's why within the first day you have to get a car. That's like the part that they sold to us, that by the first day you can get a car, right? And then you get a car roughly maybe let me say 4K to 5K a month, right?
Fair.
And then you're left with like 2K just to spend on groceries, right?
And fun.
And then and fun if you want.
Though.
You're not gonna have fun because now you're stressed out and you're always about work. So you spend on groceries. But the point I'm trying to make is the way they've sold this life is if you realize that by the time you get your salary, you don't have anything left. And what happens is the bank will come to you and be like, yo, bro, remember you need to pay black tax. You need to build a house back home, right? But we got you, bro. We're gonna what? We're gonna give you the cash. We're gonna help you to build the house back home. We're gonna give you the cash so that you can build the house. But you realize that now you're playing catch up your entire life because you've incurred that debt. Your entire life you need to catch up paying that debt. And you stay poor. That's how you stay poor.
Let me just hop in by just saying that as much as we are discussing this, we're not invalidating the importance of education and getting your qualifications. Education is important as long as you use it to your benefit and not being stuck in the system. And this now brings me to the question that I have for you. As someone who has sat down and thought about the whole thing, like you said in your previous video, that guys, I'm not continuing with the CA route. Where did you draw the line? Where did you see that, you know what, there might be actually better opportunities, or this is not for me? Because, you know, sometimes that's the hardest part to conclude. Some of us have different ventures, but you usually have this thing in you. You know what? I want that safe place. And I feel like that's why people continue into their professions, that, you know what? I don't have the courage to go out and risk every day in my life.
Did you say white people?
No. I said everyone. Everyone. I feel like we all have that little devil in us that will tell us, are you sure?
Yeah, true. That's what I'm saying, that for me, my entire idea, I was having a conversation with a couple of people after I posted that video, because I got a lot of mixed reactions. My biggest story is, I always ask myself, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what story do I want to tell, right? Okay. I don't want to be that guy who did something because everyone else was doing the same thing. I don't want to be that guy who was like, okay, cool, I want to be a chartered accountant because I'll get all the glory. People will be like, you're a chartered accountant now. Are you a big boy? Whatever it is, right? For me, it's like, whatever you do in life, you must kind of like love the thing, right? I'm a big supporter of, you must do something if you love it. And the story I want to tell is, I could have done it, right? You know how most people do it, like, okay, cool, I was studying this thing and then it started getting tough and then I dropped out and all those kind of things, right? I could have done it, but I chose not to do it. Why? Because the story I want to tell is, you must do what you love. Right? Okay. If you feel like you no longer find meaning in something, then there's no point of you continuing to do that thing. So that's been my entire thing, that I want to draw this community. I want to shift the entire system and be like, you don't have to do something because people are telling you to do it, because your mom is saying you should get a job, a corporate job, whatever it is. For me, it's like, do something if you really love it. I'd rather be broke, but knowing that every day when I wake up, I do something that I love. I can go 10 hours, 12 hours in. But imagine now, I'm doing something, I'm waking up every day at 8 a.m. I have to go somewhere and I'm doing something that I don't really love. I don't find the pleasure.
You're depressed in the work
I get depressed, and then that's when I get the work pressure, whatever it is. Because like Alex Omozi said, once you find what you love, you can go at it with your all. You can work 12 hours, 13 hours a day. You won't even feel it, because for you, it doesn't feel like work anymore. But if something feels like work for you, then trust me, that's when you get depressed. That's when you get all these pressures. That's when you start regretting what you're doing, right? And you're living in misery because you feel like you're doing something and that thing is not for you. It's not you doing that.
I think it's Steve Jobs that says that your time is very limited. So don't live it trying to live someone else's life.
True. Like I'm saying, the lady only qualified 4 months in and passed away. And it's a sad story, but I'm sure if it was the same thing with me, most people who are commenting right now and saying, Blessing, you should get the credentials, Blessing, you should continue. If I were to qualify and pass away 2 months in, those people won't even care. Those people won't even care. They won't say, we are the one who encouraged this boy to do this. They'll just move on with their life like nothing happened. So I'd rather do something because I want to do it.
It leads me now to the next question, or the idea that I want you to help us think through it. And it comes from a side of fear. Because I feel like one thing they should understand is that it's not like you're struggling with academics. It's not like you're having challenges. You're still doing well in your academics. But then mostly it's a thing of, I'm leaving something that I'm typically excelling in according to the records and going to start from scratch, trying to build from where I find my happiness.
Yeah.
So usually we tend to hold back because of the guarantee that is before us. That, okay, for example, I'm going into corporate and I'm guaranteed a salary of 15. But if I'm going to do something that I love, let's say podcasting is my passion, it might take me a year to maybe start making that 15K.
Yeah.
And I'm losing that guarantee of a salary.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that I feel like we've missed the entire point of school. School, it's not to get a job. I feel like they sold it to us like, okay, cool, school is to get a job, get that comfortable salary so that you can live a comfortable life. School is all about the education, learning something. Okay. So that's why I don't agree with the point that I'm starting from scratch. I'm not starting from scratch. I have all this knowledge. I have all this experience. I've tried a couple of ventures before. And I'm not starting from scratch because I have all this knowledge. That's what I'm saying. When I say school is a scam, I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to school. I'm saying you shouldn't go to school with the point of saying I want to get a job. Go to school, get the education, and after say, how can I use this education to get to the point where I want to be, right? So with the point of fear, it's a matter of saying, like I said, that you have two alternatives. I can either go to a corporate job, live a life whereby I get a comfortable salary that I can only support myself, right? If now I'm considering that I need to support the people back home, I need to support my family, that salary is never enough, right? That's why most of the times we get into debt so that we can do what? We can be able to support ourselves and the people back home, right? Pay the tax back home, build houses and all those kind of things. And then our entire life, we're staying in a job because we're like, now we're into debt. We can't leave this job because we have to keep on earning this money, pay this monthly loan or whatever it is, right? So for me, it's like I have that option, or I have an option whereby I can put in the work, right? As much as I'm not getting the financial reward now, but I know one day something will happen, right? One day. It might not be next year. It might not be 2 years from now. It might not be 3 years from now. But one day something's going to happen. And when that thing happens, I'm going to change my entire generation or generations to come, right? If that thing happens. But here's the trade-off. With the one option, I'm spending most of my time doing something that I don't enjoy doing. With the second one, I'm spending most of my time doing something that I enjoy doing.
Fair.
And I'm waiting for these results. And by the time I get those results, I know that I'm going to change my entire lifestyle. I'm going to change my entire income bracket or whatever it is. So that's my thing, that for me, it's like I'm not starting from scratch. I'm doing what I love, and I know that one day something's going to work out. And people usually think of it that, what if you do this and you fail? So it's not about succeeding or failing, to be honest. Life is not about succeeding. Alex Omozi mentioned the same thing, that school has this thing that they taught us, which is kind of like flawed, which is the instant feedback loop. That whenever you're studying something, you want to write a test now and then get the results now. And sometimes you can be on something for quite a long time without not seeing the results. It's not like you're not growing. It's not like there's no effect or whatever it is. It's just that you're not seeing the results now, but as a person, you are growing.
There's an investment that you're putting in towards yourself that's not visible now.
But when
once
it does,
it has compiled, and it now comes to the fruition of it showing up on reality. So I'll be like, yo, how did this happen?
And then they start saying Utwele. And the time is like, you don't even have a snake. You just put in the hours, put in the work. Because if you think about it, even the people who are the most successful people now in our generation, they started doing something. People call them crazy, but they kept at it for quite some time until they got results.
Consistency.
Like if we talk about McG, for example, when he started his podcast, he spin on it for years. No results. But when it did blow, really went hard, right? Speak about your Alex Omozi. They've been in the entrepreneurial game for quite some time. So for me, it's always like, if there's something and then you invest time in it, you'll always see the results. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be the next day. It's not going to be next year. But when you do see the results, I'm telling you, you're going on the upside. But with employment, on the other hand, if you enjoy what you're doing, if you enjoy your job, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go the corporate route. If you really enjoy your job, then you should go the corporate route. My entire thing is, do what you love today, because life is so short. You might die next year. You might die tomorrow. So why do you need to delay your happiness and say, I'm only going to be happy if I get to that chartered accountant route. I see if I get to that chartered accountant route, I'll have the credibility and I'll be able to do what I want. Why can I not do what I want today?